On that note, I don't know why that made me think of the squad, which obviously we're going to talk about Marco Rubio getting confirmed 99-0. Nobody, not one person in the Senate, and of course that's the club that he came out of, not one person pushed back and objected to his confirmation, right? Like we know that he is a hard right-wing war hawk. He wants to go to war with China. He wants to go to war with Iran. He wants to continue war with Russia by proxy. It doesn't matter. He wants all those wars. And he gets confirmed by the Senate, not one opposing voice, not Bernie, not Tammy Duckworth. I'm not saying that she's like super far left, but she's part of the establishment, very quickly became part of it. But not one supposed left-leaning senator opposed his nomination. Not one.
Yeah, remember, guys, Bernie Sanders believed that Nicolas Maduro is a tyrant, and he 100% support the United States overthrowing him. Why do you think he support Marco Rubio? Marco Rubio is a anti-communist psychopath, and I explained many times before. I don't know you guys' ideology, but you don't have to be a socialist or a communist for me to associate with you. But I explained many times before. I'm not going to draw that red line, but the red line that I do draw is I draw the line at anti-communism, because anti-communism is a destructive, barbaric ideology which led to the death of millions, and that's the ideology that Marco Rubio believes. It's a belief that communism must be snuffed out worldwide, and that means they're willing to do that even at the cost of the sovereignty of other countries. So Marco Rubio and Bernie Sanders, who's also a rabid anti-communist, they believe they have the right to sanction and destroy Venezuela because they won't vote for the political party that they want them to.
Yeah, that's fair.
So this is why, like, Bernie, he was on Hassan Piker, he doing the circuit, and progressives still worship this guy. They still think he's good faith when he's supporting Marco Rubio, a genocidal psychopath who called for Israel to finish the job in Gaza. Well, and last time, because I know you guys want to get in here, he also, and this is a stain on Trump, and is evident of what I've been saying for the last year or so, that Trump has no plans to end the Ukraine war, because his executive order, which a lot of people have been praising, which ended foreign aid, and I have a segment I'm gonna do on RBN on this here very soon. It excludes Ukraine. Like, so he ending all foreign assistance except to the assistance going to funnel the Ukraine proxy war, and now he hired one of the biggest proxy war cheerleaders in the Senate, Marco Rubio. But go ahead, guy. I know you.
No, I was just gonna say, here. I totally agree with everything you say, and I'm a big commie myself. I was gonna say, I think there's we live in a strange political system where Marco Rubio is considered the easy to confirm, the mainstream guy who can get unanimous vote in the Senate, and then RFK Jr., who wants you to eat well,
go outside
and Tulsi
eat
Gabbard,
well and go outside,
and Tulsi
Gabbard,
has been skeptical at times of even though she's an active member of the U.S. military, of the intelligence community. Those two are the controversial picks who might not get through. That's fucked up. I mean, to me, if I were a senator, I'd be like, I think I can support RFK and I can let Tulsi slide, but I'm like, Marco.
Look, I mean, guys, I think that it tells you with the unanimous consent for little Marco is that it tells you the priorities of the upper chamber.
That's perfectly well said. And it also shows that, and we knew this, but it's always good to have more evidence, right? That both parties are driven to go to war with China. Name other than, I think Lindsey Graham got him beat. Outside of Lindsey Graham, name a senator that's more war hawkish against China than Marco Rubio.
Maybe. Well, and they all voted for that stupid fucking TikTok ban too.
Yeah,
I mean, not all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we like it's at this point where it's pennies at that point when you're talking about, but the level of anti-China hawkishness. But it doesn't get worse than Marco Rubio. Like, so yeah, this is the Senate saying that, yo, we all down for it. We all down for it. But go ahead.
The China stuff is very strange too, because I mean, I get like, okay, so with the Americans, you can convince the American public they're coasting on the fumes of the Iran hostage crisis, right? Like, oh, evil Iran, they kept our guys for 444 days, 52 guys. Okay, I mean, you're still smoking on that. Russia, they're coasting on the fumes of the Cold War, right? And all that. And it's okay. But with China, what has China ever done to the United States? I mean, they're completely non-militarily expansionist.
They gave us pandas.
They never invade anyone. I mean, they had a little border skirmish with Vietnam. They had a little border skirmish with Pakistan in 1962. But they've been staying put. And we're supposed to defend Taiwan if something happens, but we can't because we don't legally even recognize Taiwan as a real country. So I mean, I'm really curious how they're going to sell this to the public.
Yeah, and they've been successful as of recent history. Things may change a lot recently, but I've showed polls on my channel how the opinion against China is mostly extremely negative among the American population, which is wild. Like you see, and I had a class with someone I even agree with a lot, like Shama Sawan is someone I had a lot of respect for. I organized with her, but even we had a disagreement on my show where she was spreading anti-China. So I'm like, Shama, you gotta stop that. You know what I mean? So it's like this is the propaganda that have worked against Americans to convince them that somehow China is the enemy. And whenever you hear like people on the right, neocons, etc., whenever they talk about China and why Americans should hate them, it's the most hilarious shit you will ever hear in your life. I told you.
Go ahead, finish your thought, and then I'll ask you.
I'll be real quick, but I watched Our Enemy Is Like a Hawk, and when they're trying to convince us why we should hate China, to Ted's point, they essentially say stuff like, "Man, China is a giant threat. They are building their economy. They're creating trade programs, and they are reaching out to African countries and creating alliances. Isn't this why China's so bad? So they're doing stuff that a country does." Like Fox News does the same segment every week. They have a segment, at least they run at least once a month, where they say, "Oh my God, the Chinese, they are expanding their military. Aren't they evil?
Yeah.
You mean what we do all the time?"